Hello guys, welcome to M&E Made Simple. I'm your host, Coach Alexander. I'm so glad you've joined me today. We're going to be looking at a very important topic. This is actually a long video, how to implement M&E in your organization as a new M&E officer. So this video is for those who are brand new in the M&E field. It could be their first job, or it could be that you're an M&D officer but have joined another organization. So please watch this video from start to finish. I've got a special announcement to make, and please don't leave this video. It's very special. It's groundbreaking. So stay tuned. Okay, now for those of you who are here for the very first time, I'm Coach Alexander. I've been doing this for 10 years now. If you have any questions, please write to me. I receive so many emails and sometimes I don't respond on time. But don't lose hope. I try my best to read emails as much as I can. Now, this is the announcement I have for you, all my friends, all my fans. There's a new training program. Okay, it's a CPD. It runs for 3 months and it has more than 20 lectures which you can watch at a self-paced basis. Okay, now this is so special because what will happen is that when you enroll in this course on Udemy, you get access to these lectures, and then you also qualify to meet with me on a weekly basis for coaching sessions. Okay, and at the end of the period of 3 months you get actually a CPD a certificate and access to materials. Now, unlike the other coaching program which I've been talking about, this one is different. Okay, it's not like a personal one-to-one, but it will be a group based, more like a classroom. And I really want you guys to register for this. Our target is to get 500 students at an affordable price. Okay, so now look here. There's a link in the description below. Okay, so what you're supposed to do, if you're very interested in this, register by clicking that link. It will take you to a page like this where you're just supposed to put your name and WhatsApp number so that we can get in touch with you. Also, the email. Now, what this does is after you get into the system, you register, we're going to send you an application form and also an academic handbook so that you can fill in your details, sign the copies, send them back to us, and make a payment of only $40. Okay, so now this thing starts in January. Now imagine making only a $40 payment and you're going to get coaching on a weekly basis with us for 3 months. Okay, and this is no joke. This is going to happen and you need to take interest in it. So this is just the format I want to, just in case maybe you are confused about what I meant about filling your details in. This is an example. You fill in your first name, surname, okay, and then put your WhatsApp number and then register. Okay, we'll get in touch with you. I'm so excited about this. The program starts in January, so there is absolutely no excuse why you shouldn't enroll because you have ample time to raise that $40. We're giving you 2 months to raise that $40, pay it, and start the journey in January 2023. So this is the special announcement I have. Please think about it. The link is in the description below. Enroll, register, and then we'll get in touch with you. Okay, so back to business. This video is going to be talking about four main aspects about what you do in the job. Now, it's not really about that in the first two, but probably what I'm trying to do here is that I want to first introduce to what is monitoring and evaluation, role of the M&D officer. The third thing is now the M&D officer first day, 7 steps in the implementing M&D in your organization. So now these are all quite lengthy. In the description, there are timestamps in case you want to navigate yourself around this long video. You can click those timestamps so that you can skip certain parts of this video. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so what is monitoring and evaluation? Well, we're going to talk about what is monitoring, what is evaluation, the difference and the importance. Okay, so monitoring, guys, I've talked about this many times. It's regular. It's about regular tracking and taking corrective action. There are many projects around this world which are being implemented. They're not just humanitarian projects I'm talking about. I'm talking about even these road construction projects you see the governments doing. So those are all projects. They have a start date and they have an end date. So now what happens is that as an M&E officer, you have to ensure that whatever activities are being implemented are going according to plan. Okay, and if they're not going according to plan, the question is why, and once you answer that question why, you take corrective action. Now in this process, there's rigorous data collection. You have to be collecting data. Data collection is a tedious exercise, whether it's in research, whether it's in the M&E, it's tedious and you need to put yourself on the ground. You need to put your hands on the ground, get this data, enter it, analyze, report on it. So now the reporting is what is key actually in all of this. What we are talking about, data collection, going in the field, that those are processes really. But the end product that we need is the report. And it is that report that will inform us on whether the project is actually making progress or not. Now, unlike monitoring, evaluation is different. Okay. Even though they say M&E, these are two different things. The evaluation component is really a research, it's an assessment. What is happening here is that let's say you have a project where you want to build a road, okay? Now, the reason why you are building a road is not for the sake of just having a road. There are objectives that come into play. The road is supposed to improve mobility, but ultimately, it's supposed to ensure that goods and services are easily accessible from one town to another, okay? Which, in another sense, will lead to economic prosperity because you are able to transport goods effectively and efficiently. So now the evaluation will not just end at looking at the quality of the road, but it might go a step further to assess whether this road has actually made a difference in the lives of the community in that area. So to do that, you really need to have a research minded attitude. You really need to get into the real issues, ask a lot of questions, use relevant tools, read a lot. Okay, so that's why it's really important, and it is at this stage where the researcher or the consultant or evaluator will be able to assess what really went wrong, why did certain things fail, and then they'll recommend to you so that in the next project that you do, you don't repeat the same mistake. The difference between M and E is outlined in this image. I've put where I got this image from, but I already knew this even before copying and pasting because I've been doing this for quite some time. But just so that I'm systematic, I thought of presenting this the way it is. Now, monitoring in terms of frequency, as you can see, it is regular. Evaluation is episodic, meaning that you only do it at certain points in time. So the evaluation that most organizations will do will only be the baseline and the end line evaluation. But some organizations have also opt to do a midterm review. So meaning that in total, the number of evaluations that they will do is three. Another difference is on the functionality. Monitoring is about tracking. I think I emphasized this a lot in the previous slide. But the evaluation is an assessment and it is detailed. Okay. Now, in terms of the purpose, why is this done? Monitoring is really about an efficiency issue. And I totally agree with this. Because, like I earlier mentioned to you, when you are implementing activities, you want to ensure that your targets are being met. But then you also need to check that there isn't any drag. So that is where now you are looking at ways to improve efficiency by tracking, monitoring, and making sure that things are going according to plan. Once things don't go according to plan, that creates drag. Now, you as the M&E officer are going to ask yourself why and what can be done to improve. Now, the evaluation, on the other hand, is mainly about effectiveness, impact, and value for money. I like this word they use, value for money, because a lot of stakeholders are getting impatient. Sometimes they get really impatient because they don't see why they should continue funding a certain project when results are not colorful. And I've seen this a lot. I'm sure you also see it. There's what is known as donor fatigue. The donors are getting tired because they keep on funding a project that is not making any progress at all. So the evaluation makes sure that indeed the money that is going in is bringing that value. Monitoring, its focus is on the inputs, outputs, processes. This is exactly what I was talking about in the previous slide. The issue is on the activities. What is happening? Are we, like if we say we want to do 20 trainings, did we do those 20 trainings? If we failed to do those 20 trainings, why didn't we do those 20? Why did we only hit 15? Okay, so those are the key issues. But on evaluation, it's about effectiveness, relevance, impact, cost effectiveness. All right. And that is why you find these two coexist very well. One can't be independent from the other because ultimately, whatever was in the monitoring reports, it feeds into the final evaluation report. Methods. The monitoring uses these normal things that are obviously used in the organization, such as reports, registers, databases, field observations. Of course, the evaluation can tap into some of these things, but really, this is where the core data comes from. Now, when it comes to the evaluation, the methodology really is scientific, it's rigorous and complex because imagine you need to and you want to find out whether a road improved the lives of people. It's not an easy task to do. It requires scientific methods. Now, in terms of information source, it also outlines that. Okay, as you can see there. I won't talk much about the last two. I think maybe you do that as your homework. I could have talked about it, but try to reflect on all of them. Do a bit of extensive reading because, ultimately it's you who's going to go and work for an organization who needs M&E services. Now, what is the importance of M&E? It's the issue of trust. Okay, that's one issue. When trust is broken, it's very difficult to rebuild it. And this is especially so with donors. I like to use the word donors because usually a lot of these projects, humanitarian projects, it's funded by the donors. So the donors really want to see what is going on. It's not about you coming up with a very nice report and sending it to them. They actually want to see it with their own eyes. And that is why sometimes they'll ask, can you take us to these project sites? We want to see what's going on. So that is a way of building trust. Now imagine if you tell them that no, we don't feel like you need to come, just have the report. That will create distrust. So it promotes transparency, it promotes accountability. We need to be responsible for our actions. One thing I need to emphasize, if you're a director somewhere or a manager, you need to realize that your project staff are the people you use to implement activities. But you can't hold them 100% responsible for the project success or failure. It is an organization that is held responsible, that is held accountable. Because when the donors give you that money, it is up to you now to coordinate efforts in an effective manner. The M&E component is important because it also guarantees success. There is going to come a time, even in your personal life, when you will just be succeeding in what you do. And the reason being is because you've learned from your past mistakes and you won't repeat them. That is how it is in our lives. So now, when it comes to M&E and project, your project is going to succeed no matter what one day because you keep on learning from your mistakes. So the additional benefits promotes efficient use of resources and improves decision making. Now, what is the role of the monitoring and evaluation officer? Okay, so the M&E officer, his role is not complicated at all. It's really just to coordinate the M&E activities of the organization. All right. So by doing this, he is promoting accountability and transparency. So when you have an M&E officer in the organization, you are also building a system that is going to last. When you have these officers placed in the organization, you are sustaining the M&E system very well. Okay, so now in terms of the job description, this is also one of my favorite parts. The role of the M&E officer, what is in his job description? Number one, his role is to carry out data collection activities in the project areas. If he cannot exercise physical presence in these project areas due to some reason, he can coordinate it from the head office by sending field officers to do the data collection. He's also required to do field visits. All right. So data collection, field visits, they are quite similar. Okay. Although the field visit is mainly just to appreciate generally what is happening on the ground, but you're not going there to collect data per se. Also, the M&E officer participates in the development of new projects. I always emphasize to my friends, colleagues, that you need to get the M&E officer involved right when the project is being developed. I don't like this the strategy that is being used by many, where after the project has been developed, that's when they employ the M&E officer. The organization, I know the argument could be that, okay, because we don't have funding at the point the project comes. But I want to believe that an organization should make it a priority to have some kind of M&E staff at organization level, not at project level, so that whenever there is need to develop a new project, you just tap into your organization staff and have that M&D person help with the development of a new project. His role is also to, he or she is supposed to conduct what are known as data quality audits. Now, data quality audits, for those of you who don't know, are one of the key things you must do. All right. I say must, at least it should be done once a year if you can do it quarterly. The reason being it borders on the quality of your data. You want to be reporting truthful information. So you need to conduct this. The other thing is that the M&D officer should undertake training and capacity building of staff. I don't believe in always outsourcing capacity. It's a good thing actually, but if you have the in-house capacity, if your M&D officer is experienced and knowledgeable, immediately he joins the organization, let him do the trainings. If you want to outsource someone, that's also okay, but think of it as tapping into higher knowledge from more like learning from someone more experienced. The M&D officer is there to advise management in the progress of the project. So that advice, like any advice, I'm sure you've heard of M&D advisors, they will advise management. So like any advice, an advice can be taken or it can be rejected. But when that advice is given, don't come back to blame the M&D officer when the project goes wrong. Because he did his job, he advised, but you decided to go a different route. He's there or she's there to coordinate the carrying out of evaluations. Okay, he does not actually do the evaluation, but he coordinates it because at the time when the project is due for evaluation, he or she will need to help out with the selection of the consultant and also working with the consultant in case he or she needs any information to help with carrying out the evaluation. The M&D officer participates in the development of the terms of reference for the consultant to conduct an evaluation or any other M&D related activity. So in case you want to, let's say, get what is known as a management information system, or you want to procure some kind of M&D software, you can come up with the terms of reference so that the people that are looking for this will know what features you are looking for. The M&D officer is involved in the development of data collection tools and in the report writing. Okay. Okay, now this one is a very nice one. What are the qualifications of an M&D officer? Now, I want to mention that I have to be honest with you. I haven't seen the programs are there just strictly M&D degrees, master's degrees, but they are not so prominent. I don't think so. Even if you go to the internet, you won't easily find a program that is just M&D. What has happened is in some of these programs, especially in the sciences, and even in other, like if you go to the university, you go to School of Humanities and do maybe something like economics, you find that there's a course that is among their modules, there could be something called monitoring and evaluation. So what it is that when you're looking for, when it comes to qualifications, the M&E officer, usually works to his advantage if he's a bachelor's degree holder in any field, but also it is added advantage if in the, whatever he or she studied, there should have been something to do with research, report writing, data collection, leadership, and information technology. Those are some of the things that can help this person perform good on the job. Okay, monitoring and evaluation officers first day at work. Listen to this carefully because this is important. First impressions are everything. When people bring you in your in a new place, they want to see fresh new ideas. They want to see someone who's innovative and active. So the first thing you do, the first few days, guys, take it from me, you need to start by, and I'm talking about the first day. When you get into the office, the first day you do is request for the project documents, strategic plans, and other relevant documents. Don't let them make you sit in the office and you wait the whole day drinking coffee. No. Request. Make it your home the first day. If you want, you can go walk a bit, greet new staff members there. If for example, of course, the HR may take you around for orientation, but there's nothing wrong with getting familiar with the place. And then you talk to your new boss and ask him, I'm asking for these documents. I need the project documents, the strategic plan, and other relevant reports so that I just start reading right away. Okay, so you do that the first day. Then we are talking now of the first week. I talked about the first day. Now, the first week is maybe after you've done the reading, you come up with a work plan. Now, then in that work plan, it should explain what you intend to do the first 3 months. Okay? What happens is sometimes your new boss will send you a proposed plan, but before he does that, you go to him and sit down with him and talk to him and say, I have some suggestions on activities which I feel I should do immediately, and I want to get your input on the same. One of the key activities I think you need to schedule is what is known as an M&E systems review. So what this is basically you conduct an assessment of the whole organization's M&E system to see what gaps are there and what opportunities are there. And then you analyze the findings, report on these findings, and make recommendations. So based on that assessment you've done, it will clearly indicate what are the weaknesses and what needs strengthening so that in the next 3 months, you strengthen those weak points. So, if, for example, they don't have good data collection tools, you're going to strengthen those weak points. But there's one thing I need to tell you. Most people, when you immediately arrive, they want to see you go in the field. They don't want to see you now 3 6 months you're just writing, typing things, manuals. No, they don't want that. They want you to go in the field immediately. So you have to put that as part of your work plan. Okay, so what are the 7 steps in implementing M&E in your organizations. Okay, so there are 7 steps and very easy steps. The first step is to review project documentation. The reason why you're doing this is because we go to step 2. You want to identify the key performance indicators. Those indicators are what will help you track performance of a project. So based on those indicators, you develop the data collection tools. And then after developing those tools, there's actually a step-by-step process of developing data collection tools. So after developing those tools, you undertake data collection activities. After you do the data collection, you do data entry and analysis. After you analyze, you compile the report and make recommendations and take corrective action. So you are not the one who's going to take the corrective action, but it's going to be management. And which brings me back to the point I made. You are going to advise management on what you think should be done, and it is up to them now to take action. If they don't take action, it's not your fault, it's theirs. So, this is where we end, guys and ladies. It's been so wonderful. I know I haven't been posting often of late, it's because I've been really busy coaching students. But also, I want to emphasize on that CPD Level 1 certificate training program. Please register for it. If you can do it today, do it right away. It's a very easy process. If you have the money to pay for it. You can start watching the lectures, but in January, that's when the coaching starts. Now, I want to also emphasize that you have to pay the $40. It's not, you don't pay anything less. It has to be $40, or else if you pay something less, what Udemy shows you, you won't be able to qualify for the weekly coaching or the certificate or the recommendation letter. So please, in case you have any questions, write to me. I've been your host, Coach Alexander, and see you on the other